The city of Lagos never truly sleeps. It hums with restless energy, a symphony of honking downfalls, murmuring tides, and the distant rhythm of Fuji beats drifting through the humid air. I have always been an observer, a silent witness to the endless stories unfolding in the heart of this city. Some are fleeting, like a gust of wind that barely stirs the dust before vanishing. Others are storms, love stories that arrive with a force that cannot be ignored. Maya and David's story was one of the storms. I saw them first in a small cafe on a tucked-away street in Victoria Island, one of those places where time seemed to slow. The wooden tables bore the marks of countless conversations, and the scent of fresh coffee lingered in the air like an old memory. Maya stood behind the counter, adjusting the strap of her apron, when their eyes met. I swear, at that moment, even the city held its breath. Maya carried the weight of David's sacrifice like an invisible scar. She could feel him always there, a presence just beyond reach. In the quiet moments, when the city hushed and the wind whispered through her windows, she swore she heard his voice. She tried to move on. Tried to convince herself that life continued. But how do you live knowing that the person you love still exists in a realm where you can never truly touch them? Her nights became filled with restless dreams. She saw flashes of places she'd never been, shadows curling at the edges of her vision. She felt a pull, something urging her to seek, to understand. The curse had been broken, but its roots ran deep. Then, one evening, as she sipped a cup of cinnamon-laced coffee at her cafe in Victoria Island, a stranger sat across from her. "You still see him, don't you?" Maya's fingers froze around the cup. The woman before her was elderly, her dark eyes filled with something ancient, something knowing. "I know who you are," the woman continued. "And I know what he did for you." Maya's breath hitched. "Who are you?" "A friend," the woman said. "And if you want to understand the true cost of love and sacrifice, meet me at midnight at the place where the curse began." The address led Maya deep into the heart of Lagos Island, to a gated compound with overgrown palms. The air here was thick, heavy with something unseen. The woman was waiting. "This is where Mario made her bargain," she said, gesturing to a weathered doorway carved with ancient symbols. "And where all firstborn daughters must return when the cycle is broken." Maya hesitated, her pulse strumming. "What's behind it?" The woman smiled, though there was no joy in it. "A choice." Taking a deep breath, Maya stepped forward and pushed open the door. Inside, time did not exist. The air shimmered with unseen energy, and in the distance, voices whispered echoes of past lives, of forgotten oaths. Then she saw him. David stood at the edge of the realm, the space between light and shadow. He was still him, and yet not. His eyes held the weight of knowledge, of sacrifice, of love beyond life. "Maya," he whispered, his voice threading through her like silk and steel. She ran to him, but the moment their hands touched, pain seared through her veins. A barrier, invisible and cruel, kept them apart. "You shouldn't have come," he said, his expression torn between longing and warning. "I had to," she insisted. "I need to understand." David's jaw clenched. "There is a way for us to be together again. But it comes at a cost." Maya's heart pounded. "Tell me." The woman's voice returned, though she had never moved. "He speaks the truth." Maya turned to her. "What must I do?" The woman's gaze was steady. "A sacrifice for a sacrifice. To bring him back, you must take his place." Maya's breath caught. Give up her life and future for a chance to be with him again. Would he even allow it? David's grip on her wrist tightened. No. Tears burned her eyes. I can't live like this, knowing you're here but never truly with me. David shook his head. And I can't let you make the same mistake I did. We have to find another way. The woman's lips curved slightly. There is always another way. But it will take more than love, it will take power. Maya turned back to her. Then show me. In the weeks that followed, Maya walked the path of the seekers, those who understood the thin veil between the living and the dead. She trained with those who knew the language of spirits, who understood the cost of bending fate. She learned that love, when powerful enough, could shift even the oldest curses. But she also learned that once you open the door between worlds, something always comes through. As Maya's power grew, so did the presence that had always lurked at the edges of her life. Shadows moved where they shouldn't. Voices called her name in the night. And somewhere beyond the veil, David watched, waiting. On the anniversary of David's sacrifice, Maya stood before the shrine of Esau once more, her heart steady with purpose. I am ready. The shadows around her thickened, and the trickster god's voice called through the air. Are you? He mused. To love is to lose, Maya. Are you willing to pay whatever price is asked? She lifted her chin. I am. A smile, wicked and knowing, curved through the darkness. Then let us begin.